all theatre for the masses, folks, just to keep people distracted and make people think that politics actually means something and that you're actually doing something to improve the situation when you're not. But if you just put it in the headlines like that and bring it to the people, then you can make a big fuss about something so it can be swept under the carpet later and lost amongst the new headlines, which of course is what the majority of all of this political theatre and political rhetoric is for in the first place. But again, so much of it is simply distraction. I mean, the human race is ridiculous when you look at it. You know, if you step back and look at the whole thing, the whole monkey show, it really does look like a monkey show. It's like a circus, folks. You've got this race of people just squabbling amongst each other, arguing over who's the best leader, who isn't the best leader, manufacturing wars against each other, dropping bombs on each other, starving each other, just doing all sorts of outrageous things against each other. Most of it is simply distraction. And of course, looking at it a little deeper, it also becomes very apparent that most of the wars that we've been fighting in the last 100 years, 150 years, have not been fought under the pretext that we think they've been fought for. What they've been mostly about has been simply to erase history, to bomb the infrastructure, to bomb the cities. That's why when countries go to war, it isn't the leaders going to war with each other. What they do is they go and they decimate all of the architecture and all of the old structures that were there from the previous civilizations. That's what most of this has been about. But yeah, that's the current state of the world, folks. It really is a joke when you look at it. You know, and attempting to find a way out of this mess, I mean, it becomes almost an impossible task when you look at just how far humanity has strayed from their path. There are still a lot of good people attempting to suggest better options for humanity and suggest better ways we could do things. But as a whole, the human race has most certainly lost its way. Look at the way we used to do things. Even some of the most simple people on earth, the way we used to do things was so much more efficient and so much more beneficial than anything we seem to be doing today with all of the things we have at our disposal, all the technology, all the stuff we have. You know, we really should be going in a positive direction, but if you look at the human race, we're just not. It's just this massive circus of infighting and squabbling and wars and political rhetoric and social rhetoric and nothing which really helps the human experience at all. A lot of people feel like they need to do more. You know, people who are good people in their own lives and they're doing what they can to survive. They're living in a conscious way. They're not ripping people off to survive. They're doing what they can. But they feel like they need to be doing more. And it's by realizing these sort of things and realizing how short this experience really is, and all the little things we do that we think mean something very often don't. They may be important to us at the time, but if you look back at your life, you'll find that a lot of the things that you thought were really important, that you really had to get done, were not important at all. They weren't about you. They weren't about the world. They weren't about improving life on this earth. They were simply some little insignificant goal that you thought meant something at the time, but it didn't. Ultimately, it didn't. You know, and really what this is about is the journey. That's what life is about, ladies and gentlemen. It's about the journey. It's about what you do to improve the human experience along the way, your own experience and the experience of others. How much you find yourself, and in finding yourself, how much you're able to find and connect with others. That's one of the most important things, you know, because when you look at the world, you look at what we've become, you look at all of this technology, where it's leading us, as I've very often said, it's taking our life skills from us. It's taking all of the data from us. It's like this huge smart grid which is gathering the data for the human experience, correlating all the data to see what the current state of human consciousness is at the end of this cycle. And it's removing our life skills from us is one of the most important things to see in this. I mean, and there's so much good in technology. There's so much good stuff we can do with it. But it's got such a hold over us now that even by people attempting to make a difference in the world, it's very difficult to stop the smart grid from where it's going. It's going to be very, very difficult to stop this rolling out because it just has really gotten hold of people and it's just going to follow its natural course. I don't think there's any way we really can stop it. So that's the way we're going, folks, and there's very little we can do to stop it. The state of the world, folks, it really is chaotic. It's so much like a circus out there. People running around. Nobody really knows what they're doing. As I said, it's like a monkey show. I don't see how we can ever change the direction we're going unless there is some type of mass epiphany. We're not going to get it from any type of political rhetoric or any type of political action. The whole political system is corrupt. So there is no remedy in that arena that will ever be found. The only remedy that will be found is when people are prepared to change what's in their hearts. And frankly, I don't see enough people doing that. I mean, it's just a sad reality to have to face, but it is a reality. And the best thing anybody can do, I would suggest, is to be the best person they can be, to establish good relations with people around them so that they have that support group to be able to get through what is coming. There's still a lot of good people in the world, folks, for all of the terrible stuff that's happening, for all of the infiltration of the truth movement, for all the infiltration into these activist movements. There's still good people. The problem is that we're looking for some sort of external savior, some sort of external source. We join these activist movements because we think the movement itself is going to bring about change. But really, as I said, it's the personal actions, the little things that we can each do every day in our own lives that makes a difference. Another thing is people's craving for information. More and more information. People want to know everything about everything, and they seem to want information. The information life can give them more than the wisdom that life can give them. And that's an important factor as well. The problem is that people are so lost and so disconnected from themselves that they look for gratification in these things. This is the crux of the whole thing, folks. This is the key to the whole problem, the loss of self. The fact that people are so disconnected from each other because they're so disconnected from themselves, that's why I've often said if we could just respect ourselves enough, we would find that respect for other people comes by default once that point happens. Once you get to that point of self-respect, once you really know yourself and really know what this human experience is, you see all the barriers that you thought existed between you and other people just simply fall away. And it gets very frustrating to see this type of a situation that we've sort of got ourselves into, whereby we're very often simply unable to communicate with each other because we don't know ourselves enough. We don't know how to express ourselves in the right way. And so many people are offended by little things. They have these little scenarios in their mind of how certain social situations should work for them, and if they don't work in that way, or they don't flow the way they want them to, they get offended, they get withdrawn, they sit there and pout because they have a stake in the outcome. They have a stake in the outcome of everything they say. And we've got a situation where everybody's had everything taken from them, so everybody has this desperate need to be heard now. This desperate need to do something, to have some form of value, to get enough likes on Instagram, to get enough likes on Facebook, to have some value in the virtual world, because they don't feel like they have value in the real world. And that's the situation that we've got. People's need to have value, people's need to be heard, and everyone wanting to clamber to the top of the pile to establish themselves and have their 2 cents worth and throw it in the pot and act like it means something. Too many people are simply not prepared to step back a little bit and just take in the bigger picture and see what's really happening here. Unfortunately, most people are simply lost. Most people are looking for something and they're not even sure what it is they're looking for. You really do see why the world is in the state that it's in, and why people are just running around with like chickens with their heads cut off, banging into each other, all attempting to get their voices heard above the cacophony of everybody else. You see exactly why this is. Many of them don't realize that the place that they're looking for is the journey itself, and they're missing out on the journey because they're so focused on what the outcome of the journey will be. Life is what happens while you're planning other things, and it's really important to take that into account. That the important part about it is the journey. It's the moments that you're experiencing every day. This is the place that you're looking for, and very often we're missing out on that place because we think that place exists at the end of the path. We don't realize that the path we're on is the place. There is no other place. There is no place you're going to get to. There is no place of enlightenment. It's the journey itself, and it's what you do with the information that comes to you along the way. But most people have this focal point of what life should be once they've made it, in inverted commas. But what is making it? Making it really is discovering yourself, and that is what life is about, and that is the most important part of life, and that is the most important part of the journey. That is the journey. Life is a journey of self-discovery. There's nothing else to it, ladies and gentlemen. It doesn't matter about all the stuff that you collect along the way. It doesn't matter what image you think you've built for yourself. It doesn't matter whether you've built yourself up to be a pop star or this or that. What about you? What have you discovered about you? And what have you gotten from the journey? What do you have to offer other people to help them discover themselves? I mean, there's so much more to this than what we're given to believe, ladies and gentlemen. We're given all these superficial things that we're told we need to measure ourselves up to, when really the entire journey of life is a journey of self-discovery.